So I'm a professor of reproductive science at University College London in the Institute for Women's Health, and an avid but slow, I think Ronan used that, was it slow you said? No, he said something else. Anyway, I'm a very slow swimmer, not a very good swimmer, but I swim a lot and I'm very passionate about it. So I want to share the work that we've been doing on the habits of women who cold water swim and how they feel it affects their menstrual and menopause symptoms. So just some disclosure, no one else did this either, but our sort of conferences we go to have to say who pays us anything or takes us for lunch. Anyway, so that's a boring thing. So what I'm going to cover is... Eva mentioned Jill Shaw. Jill Shaw's an amazing person, and she's got us together on various projects. And I'm going to come back to this. We set up a network for anyone. A few people have already come up to me and told me they've been doing things on women's health and swimming. And I think it's going to be a really explosive area. So if anyone's doing that, we're people that, I'll tell you about it in a minute, but we're people who just want to facilitate and get people together and all work together on a common goal. So we've set up a group called Swim Her. Hope you like their logo. It's quite new. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about our two papers. We published both of these papers, and I'm going to tell you about that. And so a bit about me. I wrote a book that I started writing in 1987, and I finished it in lockdown. And it's about, I know. I'm writing another book. It can't take me that long because I will actually be dead. So you can do the maths. I will be dead. Anyway, I'm writing another book about embracing age. And it's about, I've interviewed 50 women over 50. And so many of them have said that their happy place is water. You're not going to be shocked, I know. They have got a channel swimmer in there and a few other wild people. But and I do a podcast, which I'll promote at the end. But my whole job is about communicating with the public about their health, and especially women's health, but also reproductive health. So I set up a group in the UK back in 2015, and I run an international group. So you'll see where I'm coming from with this. I just want people to know how they can improve their health. And for me, well-being is at the top of that by a long, 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 long way. So we really need to think about how we can let people really understand the importance of their well-being on their health. So let's talk about Swim Her. So there's me and Jill at a conference, I can't remember, a few months ago. You probably know Mike Tipton, Mark Harper, Heather's here. So you know Heather and Malika Felton. So we've been doing some work. So obviously we've got the paper, the work that Eva mentioned. Eva's been working on this as well. So Jill wanted to know the paper at the bottom. All of these, I think, my two are definitely open access. And the paper at the bottom is about cold water swimming and pregnancy. And Jill got a few of us together and said, there's so many women who are swimming now, Eva was doing this work, who cold water swim while pregnant. Let's do a scoping review of what's out there. The paper's been submitted, but we're still waiting to hear back from the journal. So we hope that's going to be out soon. The bottom line is, we don't know. There's not been any reason. Can you imagine the ethics for that? We're going to send 20 pregnant women into really cold water. I don't think any ethics committee would. Maybe Heather's might, but ours wouldn't. But around the same time, so about 2 years ago, I said to Heather, whenever I'm swimming, I am normally swimming with women, not always, but the importance, we've talked about men's circles today, women's circles, I think they're so important. And when you're swimming with a bunch of women, they do talk about a lot of things. And a lot of them were telling me that they felt that swimming had helped their menopause symptoms. And I know there's lots of groups called the Menopause Mermaids and things like this. So, and their menstrual symptoms. So they're saying how important it was to them. And then I thought, well, let's do a study. Let's find out what women really think. So I said, let's design a survey and ask women across the UK what they think about whether swimming helps their menopause and menstrual symptoms. So we just did one survey, but I like to stretch the data. We wrote 2 papers, and I'm going to tell you about them. So the swimming habits of women who swim. So we had all this data about how do you swim. I'm going to show you in a minute. And then about their menopause and menstrual symptoms. So it was Heather. We were on Zoom, because I think we all live far away. Ruth Williamson, Sasha Roseneal and I, and we got that work doing. And then when we were analysing the data, one of my students, Megan Pound, who's a medical student, she analysed the data for us, and then we got everyone else on board and told her that, asked them to really be involved. So that's all part of Swim Her. And if anyone is doing work in women's health and swimming, come and let any of us know, and we'll join and facilitate and help in any way that we can. We don't need to be an author or anything. So let's have a look at some of the data. So UCL press office is quite good, and they got amazingly a huge amount of press interest in these papers. I now do at least one interview every week or so about this research. It was in The Independent last week. Just done one for a podcast in the US. That's just a few of them that literally these papers have been really out there in the press. So it's really quite interesting. The public, they're very interested. It's a sexy topic, cold water swimming. It really is. Now, someone mentioned earlier about how the fitness of the people who swim, and certainly in our survey, this is all in our survey, so obviously don't extrapolate this. But I actually think from this that they weren't that fit. They were walking, but they weren't really doing that many. So that top one is that's over 70% of them said they were walking. But I don't know what anyone else would think. I thought they weren't doing that many things. And I do think anecdotally, a lot of the women I swim with, that is the only thing they do. Is it exercise? I never really feel like exercise. Maybe if I swam the channel, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Then we asked them. Sorry, it's boring graphs. I'm not going to sing or dance or say a poem. Anyway, there we go. I have got some beautiful words though. Women were asked why they started swimming. Well, the main reasons they chose to start cold water swimming: being outside, mental health, exercise, general health. They were the top 4. Women were asked how long they had been swimming in cold water. Most of them 1 to 5 years, which is definitely that COVID peak, because we did this a couple of years ago. COVID, certainly where I live, spiked all of this. Their swimming habits, so where were they swimming? Most of them was, in our survey, most of them were sea swimmers. Who they normally swim with. I have been admin for our local Blue Tits group, but the Blue Tits, I asked them if they would help distribute the survey, but they wouldn't help distribute the survey. So anyway, won't go there. Anyway, so I think that would have looked very different if it had been a Blue Tits survey. So I wanted to point out that the Blue Tits were not, I mean, some people who would have seen it in other ways, but there were lots of small groups. I mean, Blue Tits, I would normally say they're big groups. There's normally like 30 of us when we go. And some of them were quite small and some alone. And I know, I'm obviously a very noisy person. I really like to swim alone sometimes. So I go to a lake, which is a paid lake, and I really want that calmness. So I think that's really important. It's a totally different dynamic with the big group and the women's circles. So, sorry, this is a really busy slide, but I'll just talk through it. We asked them about the seasons. So most of our women, interestingly, 5 said they only swam in winter, but most of them swam throughout the year. So they were all year swimmers. And then this is a comparison of summer and winter. Obviously, most of them, they swim more in the summer, but a lot of them, they were quite hardy swimmers. And then we asked for how long you swim for. I hope you can see that, but obviously in the summer, it's up to about an hour. And mind you, I went with Ruth Williamson, and her swimmers were swimming for 3 hours. I never swam for 3 hours. So I started from an hour and a half, but not 3 hours. And then the 5 to 15 minutes in winter, it was mainly 5 to 15 minutes or under 5 minutes. So they did change with the season. And then we asked them what they were wearing. Most of them were skin swimmers, and they added some gloves in winter. There were a few naked ones, even in winter. Very brave. I did skinny dip last week, but we won't go into that. So their words, I love their words. Cold water swimming has been so good for my mental health. The elation after a swim is remarkable and priceless. You've heard so many of these today. I feel a bit... Anyway, certainly puts you in a good mood and sets you up for the day. The main game for me is it resets my mood if I'm feeling stressed or anxious. I feel cold water swimming helps my emotional health and clears my head. I do feel physically better when I've gone for a swim. Open water swimming is my happy place, many people's happy place. While swimming completely resets my physical and mental state to calm. We have thousands of these quotes, which are absolutely beautiful. So menopause and menstruation have been my 2 real topic areas. I just want to show you that's what I've published on menopause. I've been doing surveys on menopause for years and years, and I'll tell you at the end what we're doing now on this. So it's really been one of my main research topics. And again, if you photograph that, all of those are open access, so anyone can read some more about that. So we wrote this paper, How do women feel cold water swimming affects their menstrual perimenopause symptoms? This really went viral. I had people from around the world to tell me when in Scientific America, and the British Menopause Society were a little bit peeved. We published in their journal, and they were a little bit peeved that it was one of the highest rated, actually the highest rating, depending on how you look at it, of all their papers over the last year, above their recommendations, etc. So they weren't very happy that a paper on swimming did that. So I'm going to go through these. Left is all menstrual. Oops, sorry, that's gone a bit weird. Right is the menopause. And I don't expect you to read that, but it's got symptoms down here. You can read the paper. But I just wanted to point out anxiety and mood swings on both of them were the top thing that women said cold water swimming helped. And you're not going to be surprised at that. But it's just good to have some data to say, right, let's look at that further. So really important. And loving the cold. So I asked them, someone said earlier, I asked them, was it the physical effects of the cold water, the mental effects of the cold water, being in nature or support of friends? And actually the cold water was the top in both of those. And do they feel it's better when it's cold? Yes, they do. So do they specifically swim to relieve symptoms? The top answer in both menstrual and menopause was yes, they do. And just their words. Again, I've got thousands of these. Cold water is phenomenal. It has saved my life. In the water, I can do anything. All symptoms, physical and mental, disappear, and I feel like me at my best. Cold water swimming has had a profound effect on my menopausal symptoms. Exercising in nature, alone or with a group of other women is healing. The camaraderie, shared stories and laughter are part of the magic. It has definitely reduced my menopausal symptoms, the strongest ones being hot flushes, night sweats, body odour, anxiety, mood swings. The hot flushes and night sweats has pretty much disappeared. I have noted that if I reduce the number of occasions I cold water swim, the number of hot flushes I experience increase. And before I started cold water swimming, I experienced hot flushes and night sweats, but they have ceased since I began cold water swimming regularly. Wow! Seriously, wow. So, finally, what I'm doing, apart from cold water swimming, is that from my research, we've set up a group in the UK last year we've called it In Tune, because we want women to be in tune with their body, in tune with their menopause, and in tune with each other. And this is our group at UCL. We have done loads of work I won't go into, but someone mentioned earlier co-design, and we've all mentioned inclusivity. So we want to provide menopause education and support to every woman in the UK, or every person in the UK who needs it. And we are doing loads of, we're doing like Heather's project and Hannah's about, we are going to do an RCT. We have to, if we want this in guidelines and NICE and GPs and NHS funding, we have got to do proper studies. So this is going to take years. You will see lots of people out there on social media who've said, oh, I have designed a menopause education package for women. Yeah, we could all do that. I could do that. We could have done that last year. We're not going to do that. We're going to co-design it. We're not going to sit in our ivory tower and I'm going to tell women what I think they should know. We're going to ask people what they should know. We're going to be LGBT inclusive, neurodivergent, everything. And we have a lot of work to do that. So take-home messages. This is a slide at the top I often use. That's my only one of me swimming. Lifestyle is hugely important. Nutrition, exercise, sleep, our mental health, and our friendships and community. And cold water swimming ticks so many of those boxes. So we've got the importance of lifestyle for women's health. We hope this research opens the way for other research into cold water swimming and women's health. The hot flushes jumps out there. We have got some ideas about how we can look at hot flushes and cold water swimming, but it's complicated. And if anyone wants to join Swim Her, then please just get in contact. It's just very, very a loose arrangement. And a blatant advert for my podcast. Heather's been on, Mike Tipton's been on, Sean Richardson, the head of the Blue Tits, and these wonderful people just do so much about women's health and really all promote cold water swimming as well. That's my thank you, everyone. I thank loads of people. And then that's my social media. And I've got 30 seconds left. So, whew, thank you. 3 questions. Woohoo! I'm celebrating. That's because I talk so fast.
Thank you so much for that. Fantastic talk, really fascinating. I had a question. So you've talked obviously about the effects of swimming on people's experience of menopause, say. But I was just wondering if anything came out the other way. So where people's having been through menopause has then impacted on their swimming. So that it's a slightly anecdotal, so I apologise. But what I'm saying, so I've gone through menopause a couple of years ago, and my engagement with open water swimming is primarily through long distance swimming. So this may be a question of intensity, perhaps. But the menopause has significantly impacted on as you'd like, power, endurance, recovery, muscle tone, loss of muscle mass, and so on, that I've really noticed. And I just wondered whether that aspect of it, aside, and I would see symptom management also would have happened, but whether people actually talked about the menopause, the effects of the menopause on their capacity to swim and recover and so on.
So I'm assuming you're saying it's affected you negatively?
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to
Afraid so.
Yeah. Well, in a way, the research I've just been doing, I've just finished interviewing 50 women over 50, and I've asked them a lot about their exercise. I've asked them all about their exercise, and I've just finished the first chapter this morning out there. So I haven't got around to exercise yet. But I remember that a lot of them have said that they are being more adventurous and doing new types of exercise. Obviously, with ageing, the trouble that we do is we blame everything on the menopause, and so I feel. No disrespect, I feel a little bit, to say, oh, it's the menopause, it's we are ageing, and we forget that men have a lot of the things that happen when we age, such as these and things, and we say, oh, it's a menopause belly. Okay, the guys have one too. And everything's a menopause. So, I think what you explained was ageing, and I know our hormones are different, and for some women that will really affect them. I'm a big fan of HRT, but I've never taken HRT. So I think we've just got to try and, address that and think about that. But yeah, I think there's a gap for some research to be done about older women. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just follow that up? Kind of going. Have you done anything? Have you done anything? Has there been any research on early menopause? So women who are in their late teens, 20s, 30s.
Yeah, we're doing that with the In Tune. Definitely, we've done focus groups already with women with surgical menopause and women with early menopause, and they are both very underrated, under-supported groups for sure. And there is some help for the early menopause, but they feel that they've told me they want more support. So we're going to be doing that in our menopause project for sure. If we can find enough women and some funding to do that in with relation to cold water swimming, that is something hopefully we could do. But we haven't yet. But they're very much on our radar. For sure. One short question. Yes, a quick question for the back.
I was just going to ask a very quick question, which is, I was interested in finding out if you'd synced up with people like the Newson Clinic or some of these really big HRT prescribing organisations who have an interest in hearing about these anecdotal stories about cold water, but maybe don't understand it from the research level that you have to try and pull those two threads together a little bit more.
Ooh, that's actually a really controversial question. There's a lot of differences of opinions in the menopause space, and there are some people that are absolutely saying that every woman should take HRT forever, otherwise their whole life's going to disintegrate, they're going to become an old crone. Wow. This is the old crone, okay? Or some of us that feel, I'm on the other side of the fence, who feel HRT is a place for some women, but lifestyle is really, really important, and we want women to be aware of their lifestyle. We just feel some women are not engaging in any form of exercise, any form of friendships, community, women's circles, or anything, and they're just taking HRT. So we haven't gone there because, unfortunately, the groups people don't agree. I have tried to engage, but it's complicated. It's politically a hot potato. I've checked it out in the press because I've been in the press being critical of the person you just mentioned. I have to keep saying, don't sue me, don't sue me. They've got a lot of money. Thank you.